Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining. So glad that you are here with us this afternoon. We are going to get started in just 1 minute. We'll wait for everyone who is joining to get in the room. On national funding opportunities for performing arts presenters and artists. My name is Sarah Lewis. I use she and her pronouns, and I'm the Program Director, Performing Arts and Accessibility Coordinator at Mid-Atlantic Arts. I use she and her pronouns, and I'm a white woman with very short brown hair and a white Oxford on today. I'll pass to my colleague Ernest to introduce.
My name is Ernest Stewart. I am the Program Director Jazz here at Mid-Atlantic Arts. He, him pronouns. I'm wearing a cream-colored cardigan and a gray shirt underneath. I'm a Black guy. I'm going to pass this over to, oh, I don't have my list pulled up.
All good. I'll just take it, Ernest. It's me.
Okay.
Hello, everybody. My name is Andrew Alness Olson, and I am the Program Director International at Mid-Atlantic Arts. My pronouns are he, him, and I'm a white man with short blonde hair and round brown glasses. I'm wearing a blue button-up shirt and a gray heathered sweater. Steph, you go next.
Thank you, Andrew. Hi, everyone. My name is Stephanie Reyes Echevarria. I'm Program Associate for Fellowship and International here at Mid-Atlantic Arts. I use she, her, ella pronouns. I'm a mixed race woman in my late 20s, have long black hair, and I'm wearing a long sleeve shirt.
And we also have Sarah Tuné, and who is here supporting us with the chat, and Anthony, who is here supporting us with live captioning today as well. Mid-Atlantic Arts staff are located around the Mid-Atlantic region and beyond, but our offices are located on lands known as Baltimore, Maryland. And I want to acknowledge the legacy of the Piscataway and Susquehannock peoples, as well as the enduring presence of the Piscataway, the Lumbee, and the Eastern Band of Cherokee community members in Baltimore City today. For today's webinar, if you have a question, I encourage you to put it in the Q&A section at the bottom of your screen. We'll type answers as we go, and we'll also have time to answer those questions live. Live captioning is also provided. Again, we have Anthony here with us. To turn on live captions, on the control bar of your Zoom screen, select More, and then select Show Captions. Andrew?
Mid-Atlantic Arts supports artists, presenters, and organizations through unique programming, grant support, partnerships, and information sharing. Created in 1979, Mid-Atlantic Arts is aligned with the region's state arts councils and the National Endowment for the Arts. We combine state and federal funding with private support from corporations, foundations, and individuals to nurture diverse artistic expression while connecting people to meaningful arts experiences within our region and beyond. You can learn more about Mid-Atlantic Arts and our work at midatlanticarts.org. Ernest?
Mid-Atlantic is one of 6 regional arts organizations. Our sister organizations are New England Foundation for the Arts, South Arts, Arts Midwest, Mid-Atlantic Arts Alliance, and the Western States Arts Federation, or WESTAF. Each RAO offers funding opportunities that are specific to their regional states and jurisdictions, but many also offer opportunities that are national in scope. We'll talk a bit about the opportunities available for programming artists and presenters nationally in this presentation. You can learn more about all of the regional arts organizations, or RAOs, as I've been saying, but I've been kind of blowing past that. RAO at the RAO websites, usregionalarts.org. The link is going in the chat now.
So this slide shows all of the grants and programs that Mid-Atlantic Arts offers regionally and nationally. We aren't going to talk about all of these in today's agenda because they are not all directly applicable to the performing arts. However, we encourage you to check out our website to learn more about all of our programs. Sarah.
So for today, we are going to begin with information about programs for performing arts presenters nationwide. We will then move on to discussing opportunities for performing artists nationwide, and we'll discuss programs for performing artists and presenters based in the Mid-Atlantic region at the conclusion of this presentation. So let's get us started with opportunities for presenters, performing arts presenters nationwide. Andrew?
Thanks, Sarah. So first up is a program called Performing Arts Global Exchange, which we refer to as PAGE. This national grant program is open to performing arts presenters nationwide that are 501c3 nonprofits or are a unit of state, local, or tribal government. PAGE makes it easier to book incredible international artists and promotes greater understanding of other cultures through the performing arts. We do this with, if we can actually go back to the previous slide. We do this with an annually curated roster of international grant-supported performing artists. So the global region of focus for the roster changes every year, and we work with curators from the selected region to identify exciting artists that are ready to tour the US. Oftentimes, the artists that are selected haven't really performed much in the US before. The roster for the upcoming program year is going to be announced in the coming weeks. We're aiming for the end of January, and the roster will feature artists from Brazil and Colombia. These artists will tour the US sometime between July 1st, 2024 and June 30th, 2025. Presenting international artists often requires resources that aren't always available. Travel expenses, visas, and routing are often barriers to presenting international artists, especially in the US's more remote communities. Mid-Atlantic Arts seeks to ease some of those burdens by providing grant support to US presenters of up to 50% of the negotiated artist fee. Presenters need to book the artist for a public performance and a community engagement activity that provides audiences with direct interaction with the visiting artists. This program is all about creating cross-cultural exchange between your audience and international artists. So these engagement opportunities are extremely important to achieving that goal. So how do you receive a PAGE grant? To receive a grant, review the program guidelines and the roster of Brazilian and Colombian ensembles when they are announced in just a few short weeks. Then it's very similar to booking any other artist. Contact the tour agent for the artist you're most interested in and negotiate the performance and artist-involved community engagement activity with them and dates. Then send them an offer letter to the agent by April 15th, 2024. You'll then be tentatively recommended for a grant, the amount of which you'll be discussing with that agent, up to 50% of the negotiated fee. So if you agree on an $8,000 fee, you could get up to $4,000 in grant support from us. And then you'll just be asked to fill out a brief online form that most people can finish in 30 minutes to an hour. We then contact you in June to verify details and confirm your grant. This is not a competitive grant, but grant funds are limited, so presenters are encouraged to secure artist engagements as soon as possible. We'll also be hosting a webinar dedicated to this program later this winter after the roster is announced, and I'm also happy to discuss PAGE with you at our booth at APAP. Sarah?
So a few other opportunities for presenters nationally from our sister RAOs, or regional arts organizations. I want to share 3 programs from New England Foundation for the Arts in particular. New England Foundation for the Arts, or NEFA's National Dance Project and National Theater Project programs are for presenters. They award presentation grants to present an artist who has been already awarded production funds through their NDP and NTP program. There are also travel funds available for the NTP program for presenters to view work and determine if it's a good fit for their community. Also, NEFA's Center Stage program is a cultural exchange program that invites performing artists from select countries to tour the US. Information about these three programs is going in the chat now, and I encourage you to visit the USRAO Regional Arts Organization website to learn about other national grant opportunities available to nonprofits nationwide. So next, we're going to go back to Andrew to hear about national opportunities for performing artists.
Thank you, Sarah. And we do have just a comment from someone that you're still a little bit harder to hear. So just an FYI there. Opportunities for artists across the country. Let's talk about US Artists International. This is a national grant program that helps US artists perform at impactful international festivals and performing arts markets outside the United States. We recognize that performing artists reliant on touring to make their livelihoods face enormous challenges. Oftentimes, an invitation from a festival may provide you with an artist fee and some free lodging, but additional support is needed to make that performance possible. Getting a USAI grant of up to $15,000 can make all the difference by helping cover international flights, lodging, per diems, and more. We also believe that performing at significant festivals contributes to an artist's professional development. Artists who've received the grant tell us that by performing abroad, they grow audiences in new parts of the world, or they make connections with presenters that then invite them back for a broader tour. And some performers meet other artists that they end up collaborating with or learning from. US Artists International is a competitive grant program with 2 application deadlines each year. This means if you apply at the first deadline and do not receive a grant, you could potentially reapply the next round if your engagement is still within the eligibility window. We provide feedback to all applicants that do not receive a grant so you can know what changes the panel would recommend to make your application stronger. The next deadline is March 27th, 2024, covering engagements that are taking place between July 1st, 2024 and June 30th, 2025. So let's talk about program eligibility. We've got a photo here of a recent grantee, Parangal Dance Company out of California. They were funded to perform at the Folk Art International Folklore Festival in Slovenia. There are many dancers on stage here in colorful tops of pink and purple, and they have golden fans in their right hands. They're dancing outside in front of a building with kind of lights all across the backdrop. Next slide. So who is eligible and should take a closer look at this program? If you are a music, dance, theater, or multidisciplinary solo artist or ensemble working at a professional level that is living in the USA or its territories, and you're a US citizen or permanent resident, you also have to be a 501c3 nonprofit, or you can also apply with a US-based nonprofit fiscal sponsor. This means working with a fiscal sponsor org like Fractured Atlas, Pinnacle, The Field, or many others. These organizations essentially extend their nonprofit status to cover your specific project, thereby making you eligible for this grant. To apply, you must also already have in hand an invitation letter to perform at an eligible festival or performing arts market. Select non-festival engagements are also eligible, but there are a few restrictions. So make sure to review program guidelines for our full eligibility requirements. If you are doing exceptional work and have an eligible opportunity that will make an impact on your professional development, we strongly encourage you to apply. most of our grantees don't have large budgets, but have already established a strong touring presence, either nationally or internationally. If you want to discuss, I'd be happy to connect to APAP, and additional information is available on our website. We also have 2 webinars coming up where we'll dive into the program in a lot more detail, and the links for those are going in the chat. Now I'll hand it over to my colleague, Ernest.
The Jazz Road program at South Arts is a unique artist-centric program providing critical support to jazz musicians nationwide. With tour support up to $15,000 and creative residency support up to $40,000. If you're a jazz artist or represent artists who are interested, this program is worth checking out. Sarah is placing the link in the chat. I would also add that the folks over at South Arts have made this application extremely accessible to folks. So please, if you're at all interested, feel free to reach out to them or to me. Also, Sarah L. mentioned NEFA's NDP and NTP programs earlier as they relate to presenters. These programs also provide direct creation support for artists. If you are a dance or a theater artist based somewhere in the US, I recommend that you take a look at the NDP or NTP and see if these opportunities would be a good fit. Links to both programs for artists are going into the chat now. All right, next slide. Now we're going to talk about Mid-Atlantic Arts regional programs. These programs are available to presenters based in any of the 10 states or jurisdictions in Mid-Atlantic Arts funding region. If you're a presenter based outside of Mid-Atlantic's funding region, these grants are not available to you. If you are an artist, you cannot apply directly for these grants, but I'm going to pass it on to Sarah to talk about how artists can engage with regional presenter grants.
Thanks, Ernest. How's my sound, everybody? Can you hear me? Okay, thanks. We are going to now talk about Mid-Atlantic Arts regional programs. These are programs that are available to presenters based anywhere in any of the 10 states or jurisdictions in Mid-Atlantic Arts funding region. If you are a presenter based outside of Mid-Atlantic Arts funding region, these are not available, as Ernest said, to you, but it is it's definitely worthwhile if you are an artist to understand how these programs work, because you may be able to recommend that a presenter inside the Mid-Atlantic funding region apply for one of these grants to support a presentation of your work. Also, later in this presentation, I'm going to talk about a program called Mid-Atlantic Tours, which is a roster-based program where presenters receive subsidy to present an artist on the roster. And if you are an artist based in the Mid-Atlantic region, there will be information here for you. If you're an artist and we're going through this relatively quickly, I really encourage you to reach out and set up a meeting with any of us on the call to discuss how these programs might support your touring in the Mid-Atlantic funding region. So I believe now I'm passing to Andrew, right, to talk about regional focus here.
Yeah, so as we mentioned earlier in this presentation, Mid-Atlantic Arts is one of 6 regional arts organizations. Each of the RAOs have national programs that serve artists and/or presenters across the country. So far in today's presentation, you've heard about the national opportunities for presenters and artists. As you might expect, each regional arts organization also offers focused grant programming available only to applicants based in our respective geographic regions. Mid-Atlantic Arts geographic region includes Delaware, the District of Columbia, Maryland, New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania, Puerto Rico, the U.S. Virgin Islands, Virginia, and West Virginia. For the rest of today's presentation, we are going to focus on grant opportunities available to performing arts presenters based in one of these states or jurisdictions. If you are a presenter based outside of the Mid-Atlantic, I encourage you to find your RAO's website to see what presentation opportunities are available to you. Sarah?
Yeah, I also want to mention a few of Mid-Atlantic Arts' other regional offerings that aren't explicitly related to the performing arts, but that you on the call may still be interested in. First, we offer trainings in accessibility and disability justice that are available to anyone. They are virtual, and they are made in partnership with the Americans for the Arts program. They are targeted at state arts agencies, but really applicable to anyone who is interested in increasing their awareness of accessibility and disability justice best practices. You can find these resources that I mentioned that were developed with Americans for the Arts, focusing on budgeting, accountability, and intersectionality in the chat now. Mid-Atlantic Arts also manages 2 artist fellowship programs for artists based in Delaware and New Jersey. If you are an artist based in either of those 2 states, check out our website to learn more. And finally, we have grant programs specifically for presenters and artists working in folk and traditional forms, which can include folk and traditional performance. If you are working in a form that could be classified as folk and traditional, I encourage you to check out our website to learn more. And if you're interested, you can email Ellie Dessler, who is our folk and traditional program director, excuse me. Ellie's email is going in the chat now. So next, I'll pass it back to Andrew to talk about eBay Exchange.
Yeah, so eBay Exchange is one of our newest programs at Mid-Atlantic Arts. It's a grant program designed to promote greater understanding of other cultures through the performing arts by increasing availability of international music programming from Latin America and the Iberian Peninsula throughout the Mid-Atlantic region. The program provides fee support grants of up to 50% of the negotiated artist fee to presenters that are nonprofits or units of state, local, or tribal government. Presenters do have to be located in the Mid-Atlantic, in those states, 10 states that we mentioned, and then must contract an eBay Exchange roster artist for a public performance and community engagement activity in order to receive grant funds. A unique feature of this program is that artists on the roster also receive direct funding in support of their visa expenses. So that's kind of a concern that you don't have to worry about at all. So let's move to the next slide here. This year's roster features 3 incredible ensembles: the Eloisa Fernandez Quartet from Brazil, Rancho Aparte from Colombia, and Pascuala y la Vaca y Fauna from Chile. Just a little bit about these artists. Eloisa Fernandez is a Brazilian pianist and composer that blends classical and jazz with Brazilian rhythms to mold her distinct musical identity. Rancho Aparte is a Chiremia brass band that has performed at Womex and Japan's Fuji Rock Festival, among many others. The ensemble brings their rousing show featuring polkas, danzas, rebulu, and more to the US for the first time this year. And Pascuala y la Vaca y Fauna is a Chilean singer-songwriter that fuses folkloric sounds with rock, jazz, pop, and funk for a joyous and danceable set. You'll have so much fun watching her play the accordion. Next slide. So these are all really just wonderful artists, and I encourage you to consider adding them to your season's programming. Artist tours are taking place between July 1st, 2024 and June 30th, 2025. The agents for all 3 ensembles will also be at APAP. Their contact information is up on the screen, so feel free to reach out to David, Michael, or Justine if you're interested in booking these artists, and additional information is available on our website. Limited grant funds do remain, so I would strongly encourage you to, look into these artists and start speaking with the agents as soon as possible. I expect these tours will be booked up before the offer letter deadline of April 15th. Now I'll pass it back over to Ernest.
So, let's talk about the Jazz Tour Network. The Jazz Tour Network, or JTN, is a presenter-based membership program that's designed to expand the presentation of jazz throughout the Mid-Atlantic region. The program achieves this objective by providing performance fee subsidies and to network members for engagements that are part of what we call block book tours. And those block book tours are created by the network members themselves. Establishing block book tours requires members to work collaboratively to nominate and vote for artists. Members are currently eligible for up to $3,000 per year to subsidize performances. These funds can be used to cover up to 50% of artist fees. JTN funded engagements must include at least one public performance as well as a community engagement activity. Membership criteria prioritizes performing arts presenters in the Mid-Atlantic region with little or no experience in presenting jazz. We also encourage applications from experienced jazz presenters seeking to strengthen their programming. The network membership applications opens typically in early August, and applicants are typically notified of their approval or declination by mid-October. You can find more information about the JTN membership guidelines located on our website. And I believe the next slide are photos from recent tour network artists. Here we have 4 artists: Christian Sands, great pianist; Joe Ross, who is a great vibraphonist. The name's cut off here, but it's Anat Coing, who is a great clarinetist, and Banda Mata. All right. Now I'll pass it to Sarah.
Yeah, thanks, Ernest. And just highlighting the question that Elizabeth put in the chat, that yes, if you are based in the Midwest, it is, we are highlighting Mid-Atlantic specific region programs in this portion of the presentation, but definitely do recommend that you check out your regional arts organization for more programs that would be directly applicable to your region. So next, we're going to talk about Mid-Atlantic tours. This is a grant opportunity for presenters in the Mid-Atlantic Arts geographic funding region to present an artist from the Mid-Atlantic Tours roster and receive subsidy from Mid-Atlantic Arts. The program supports robust touring of select artists through the Mid-Atlantic geographic region with at least 2 engagement activities in each presenter's community, one of which is a live performance and any other type of community engagement that you and the artist decide is a good fit for your community. The current artist roster is booking for engagements for fiscal year 25, which runs from July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2025. You can review the guidelines for the program at Mid-Atlantic Arts website. The guidelines are really the key resource to determine eligibility in the process for booking a Mid-Atlantic Tours artist. It does work quite similarly to the PAGE program that Andrew described, where you will submit a letter of agreement and then submit a short application if recommended for funding. So the guidelines are available at midatlanticarts.org under the Mid-Atlantic Tours program page. And this year's roster is amazing. Here we have photos of the artists who are available for booking with subsidy through Mid-Atlantic Tours. We have Undos Tres Andres, Long Point String Band, Adam Booth, Deborah Ann Bird, Alex and Olmsted, and Plena Libre. And we are going to put the roster link in the chat right now. And I really encourage you to check it out. If you are looking for an awesome show to book in 24-25, it could be one of these folks right here. If you are an artist in the Mid-Atlantic region and you are interested in being considered for the fiscal year 26 roster, keep a lookout for the artist interest form, which will be coming out in summer of 2024. If you subscribe to Mid-Atlantic Arts mailing list, that is going to be the best way to find out about when that is available. But backing up, who should apply for Mid-Atlantic tours? If you are a presenter and you want to add an artist to your season whose work is recommended by Mid-Atlantic Arts and a committee of curatorial advisors. If you are excited to present one of these roster artists, but their fee may be a bit out of your price range without subsidy, or if you want to be part of a regional tour with other presenters in the region who are all presenting the same artist. So if any of this sounds like you, then make sure to complete a letter of agreement with a roster artist's tour manager by no later than March 28th, 2024. The program page with more information is going in the chat now. Next program I'm going to talk about is called Arts Connect. Arts Connect supports touring projects that are collaboratively designed by presenters working together in the Mid-Atlantic region. So for this program, 2 or more presenters based in 2 or more states or jurisdictions in the region partner to present the same artist or company during the project period. This program encourages collaboration and it creates touring opportunities for artists. The current open grant opportunity for proposed projects is running for between July 1st, 2024 and June 30th of 2025. So if you are interested in working with an artist during that period, this cycle of Arts Connect will be for you. This is a photo of an Arts Connect supported engagement with Nitriagram Dance at Moss Arts Center. And here we have an artist from Nitriagram in the center with a room full of students participating in a masterclass behind her. So you should apply for Arts Connect if you meet the criteria for a presenter in the region and you have an artist and presenting partners in mind, but you need additional funding to make it happen. Or maybe you've seen an exciting project on the projects in development listing and want to be part of that tour. The projects in development listing is a required step of the application, but only one presenter in your cohort needs to submit. If you're looking for a consortium to join, you can view the projects in development listing on the program page and see if anything sparks your interest. That link is going in the chat now. This also may be for you if you want to be part of a regional tour with other presenters in the region, all presenting the same artist. So the deadline for Arts Connect is March 7th, 2024, and the program page with more information is going in the chat now. All right, one more program to discuss, the Special Presenter Initiatives Program. This is a program available to small or mid-sized performing arts presenters based in Delaware, DC, Puerto Rico, the US Virgin Islands, West Virginia, and the native nations that share this geography. Presenters based in any of these states or jurisdictions can receive funding support for up to 2 performing arts engagements that they are planning for the upcoming season. These engagements must include a public performance as well as an additional community engagement activity. The current open grant opportunity is for proposed projects taking place between July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2025. And the artists can be based anywhere in the country or the world, including in the geographic area of the presenter. So next up, we have a Special Presenter Initiatives supported engagement of Amy K. Beaumont at the Caribbean Museum Center of St. Croix. This was an awesome project. Here we're looking at 4 photos of community engagements, music workshops in a collage format. All right, So who should apply for SPI? If you are meeting the criteria, the requirements of a presenter, and you are based in DC, Delaware, West Virginia, Puerto Rico, or the Virgin Islands. If there is an artist you want to present in the upcoming season, but you just need a little bit of additional funding to make it happen, this program may be for you. The application deadline is March 14th, 2024, and the program page with more information is going in the chat now. All right. This wraps up our portion of the presentation. Thank you everyone for sticking with us, and we are going to move on to the Q&A. I see we already have a few questions, but as you're submitting any additional questions, I want to let you know that if you plan to attend APAP in person, please come visit us at our booth, which will be in Rhinelander, number 209. We're planning to have an additional in-person session as well during APAP on January 14th from 4 to 5 p.m. It'll cover much of the same information that we went over today, but if you want a chance to hear it all again in person, that would be a great time to do it. But you know, at that session or at the booth, you can come find us and make sure to get your questions answered. So now let's get into this Q&A. So this first one looks like it's for Ernest. Eddie asks, are there any jazz tour letter templates for venues? Some venues aren't sure what to put in their letters for an artist to perform there.
Can you repeat the first part of that question? I'm sorry. I can't see the questions myself. Oh, I see the Q&A.
Sorry about that, Ernest.
Yeah.
The question was, are there any jazz tour letter templates for venues? Some venues aren't sure what to put in their letters for an artist to perform there.
Yeah, sure. So if you go to the South Arts website, I'm assuming you're referring to the Jazz Road Tours. There are resources there available for artists and venues. Oftentimes artists can come equipped with these letters that are templated, but they are there on the website and the resources.
Thanks, Ernest. This next one is from Emily Cruz. Hi, Emily. Are the agreements with artists generally allowed to be contingent upon receiving support from Mid-Atlantic Arts, or does the org need to guarantee the engagement? I'll say that for the programs I just discussed, Mid-Atlantic Tours, and I believe this is also the case for Paige, but please let me know if not, Andrew. You can use language in your letter of agreement that acknowledges that your presentation of the artist is contingent upon grant support. So I, would encourage you to do that, because you want to make sure that the engagement works for both you as the presenter and for the artist. So you can create your letter of agreement with an understanding that the terms in that agreement are contingent upon the funding that you would receive from us. And then if that funding doesn't come through for whatever reason, you can each go back and renegotiate the terms or decide that now is not the right time. Andrew, that is also the case for Paige, right?
It is, yep. And I would just add that with all of our roster programs, it is not a competitive process that, so long as you are eligible in the engagement that you work out with the agent in talking with them, that, the idea is that there shouldn't be any surprises throughout the process. But yes, it's okay to add in contingencies like that.
All right. Our next question is, are there additional suggestions or options for funding the balance of the 50% not funded by Mid-Atlantic? Thanks. This is a great question. And I just want to give some context about where that comes from. For many of the programs, almost all of them that we discussed today, the funding comes to Mid-Atlantic Arts from the National Endowment for the Arts through their regional engagement program. And that program requires a dollar for dollar non-federal match. And so we have that requirement and then pass that on to you as the grantee to meet. In some of our programs, we have additional funding that we can offer to meet it directly internally that we then do not pass the match on. But for many of these, we do ask you as the grantee to find that match. So there are lots of ways to do that. As long as the expense is a direct expense of the funded program, it can count towards your match. So this can come from ticket sales, it can come from foundation support, individual support, any other grant funding that is non-federal. I'm happy to brainstorm, one-on-one with you about this and think through where your match might come from. We can, think about different possibilities. And it's also worth noting that when you write the application, you don't necessarily have to know where your match will come from in the application. We'll ask you to create your budget and we'll ask you to put in where you expect to get those funds, but you don't necessarily have to have them in hand when you receive it. Although when you write your final report, you will have to show that dollar for dollar match came from somewhere. Colleagues, anything to add on that front?
No, that was great. Sorry, I got distracted for a second.
Yeah, that's all right.
That was great. This is obviously a topic of conversation that goes on frequently amongst people who are presenters, and finding the money and funds for things can be a little tricky. But I think any one of us would be happy to sort of brainstorm if you reach out.
Next, Marion asks, can the artist be from outside the Mid-Atlantic region and still be eligible for Mid-Atlantic presenters to apply for an Arts Connect grant? Yes, definitely. Arts Connect can support the presentation of artists from anywhere in the world, including from within one of the presenters' geographic communities, but it can be from anywhere around the country or anywhere around the world. Anonymous asks, may an organization apply for Mid-Atlantic Tours page and Arts Connect within the same funding cycle? You can, as long as your program eligibility does not overlap. So for example, you could not apply for Arts Connect to receive funding support to present an artist. You are also receiving page support to present or Mid-Atlantic Tours support to present. Outside of that conflict, as long as your organization is meeting all of the eligibility requirements for each program, you can apply for multiple programs. We encourage you to do so if it's a good fit for you. Reach out to us if you have any questions about whether something might overlap, but generally, yes, presenters can apply for more than one grant. Anonymous says, thank you for these resources. There are so many. How do opportunities tie into arts here? Great question, and thank you for asking that. So you may be asking, what is Arts Here? This is yet another grant program that is actually not exclusively available to performing arts presenters. So we decided not to include it in this presentation today, but it is another really amazing funding opportunity. And maybe if one of my colleagues can grab that link while I'm explaining it a little bit, we'll drop it in the chat. This is an opportunity for artists who are making meaningful work in their community to get funding support that is for a project or for advancing the work that they are already doing inside of their community. I would really encourage you to take a look at it if you are doing impactful community work. There are guidelines and webinars and office hours available from the Arts Here staff. Our colleague Leanne is your point of contact at Mid-Atlantic Arts. And so I will say, in terms of answering your question about how they relate, they are separate programs. It is a separate additional program. And so if you're interested in that, take a look and check it out. Okay, we have a question from Nanette. Can you partner with an organization in Puerto Rico? Can you apply for the SPI? We are based in New Jersey. So unfortunately, no. With how the program is structured right now, the organization based in one of the 5 SPI states or jurisdictions must be the organization applying for the funding. And so in your case, I would love to talk more about what your situation is and think about how we can figure out how to support the project you're describing. But for, you know, your instance, your partner organization in Puerto Rico would need to be the one applying directly for the funding. And they could potentially work with you on that, but the application would need to come from the Puerto Rico-based presenter. Yeah, I'll pause here and actually see, would any of my colleagues like to jump in? I feel like my voice is.
Sure.
Thanks,
Amilcar is the next question. Are the grants mutually exclusive or can any be combined? I think we kind of touched on this earlier, that you can receive multiple grants from us in the same program year, but they wouldn't be able to be combined for the exact same project. So you could get a Page grant, you could get an Eber Exchange grant, you could get an Arts Connect grant, but none of those would be able to support the exact same project. So long as they're separate projects, that's fine. Some of our programs also have limits on, so like with Page, for example, you can actually receive, if you enjoy like 2 of the artists on the roster so much, you can actually book 2 of the artists and receive grant support for both of those projects. So it is a bit of a program by program specification there, but generally, yes, you can get multiple grants in 1 year. Next, Tim McCory. You get through here. Okay, is any support available for supporting items such as Spanish translation and or music ensemble size and or other expenses? Thank you. Right now, we do not have support available for Spanish translation. I think I'm not quite following the second half of that question. So you're have an original show you've created that's being produced. Currently, we don't really have any grants for creation in the US. And so most likely the answer is no to that question, Tim, but I would recommend reaching out, Sarah, if you might have a conversation together and have a bit more on that. Jennifer, yeah, looks like the chat links are not copyable. If you click on them and open them in your browser, you can bookmark those links to save them. We are recording the webinar and we'll send out to everyone who registered a link to the recording, to the slide deck, and we can just kind of pull all of those links into a document as well. Sarah T, if you could kind of pull all those together, we can include that as well so that you have those copied. Let's see. Sarah Carlson asks, when will the artist application to be considered for Mid-Atlantic Tours be released? Over to you, Sarah.
Yeah, so Sarah, the FY25 roster is complete. Those are the artists that we looked at during today's presentation. The FY26 touring roster, which will be touring between July 1st of 2025 and June 30th of 2026, that roster will begin the selection and curation process this summer. Summer of 2024. And I recommend that you sign up for Mid-Atlantic Arts mailing list if you're not already signed up, so that you get the most up-to-date information about when the artist interest form will be available for that program. The next question here from Anonymous is, how would you suggest initiating a relationship with organizations for international festivals in order to apply for U.S. Artists International grants? Andrew.
Yeah, and so Steph, can you grab the link to the International Festival database? We have a database on our website of international festivals. So this basically just compiles all of the information we receive from applicants, listing, you know, who their contact is, email address, city, general time of when that festival takes place. So say you have a gig in France and you would like to add a festival performance around that, you could look up in our database and try and find festivals that feel like they'd be a good fit for the specific type of performance that you do, and reach out to that festival and see if there's, if they'd be interested in booking you. If you're at APAP, I know that APAP often has international festival directors there as well. And so certainly recommend trying to get, a conversation started with those international festival directors. And we'll be dropping that link in the chat for you. We got a question here from CD Graves. Do you provide a list of potential artists to select from? I think we'll need a little bit more context on that one. Is any of the, Sarah, do you?
Yeah, I can say that, we have sort of two modes that our programs take. Some of them are presenter driven, presenter curated, where you as the presenter would propose an artist of your choice for the grant program. So those would be Arts Connect and Special Presenter Initiatives. They both work that way. Then we also have programs that are a curated roster program. So those are Mid-Atlantic Tours and Page. And I believe that JT and Ernest work sort of in the middle, right? Where the presenters work together who are in the network.
Presenters in the network create a nominee list of artists, and they vote on these artists and then sort of winnow down that list to a handful of artists.
Yeah, so the answer is yes and no, CD. We do have some programs that have a list of potential artists that you can engage, and other programs where you're curating directly. Nanette, thank you for putting your information here. I'll take this down and send you a follow-up email right after we're done here. Alif asks, can an independent artist apply for the listed grants independently, or does the application go via a nonprofit presenter? So for the most part, the grants we described today are presenter-driven opportunities, which means that the presenter applies directly. An exception to that would be, Andrew, you want to take the exception?
Yeah, the exception would be U.S. Artists International. So if you do have that international engagement that you're seeking support for, individual artists, or if you are part of an ensemble that doesn't have 501c3 status of your own, you can apply using fiscal sponsorship. So that's working with Fractured Atlas, Pentacle. There's hundreds and hundreds of fiscal sponsors across the U.S., but working with one of them in order to apply. For U.S. Artists International, you still are the primary applicant. You fill out the application on your own. Just inside the application, it'll ask you for the details of your fiscal sponsor, and then they'll have to review the application before you can submit it. And then Lynn, apologies for not seeing your questions in the chat. You ask, if you are a performing artist showcasing at APAP and do not have a booth at APAP, can an artist meet with you outside of Rhinelander by appointment if we do not have an APAP lanyard? Yes, I would be happy to meet with you. I, Steph, and Ernest will all be at APAP this year. So if you'd like to meet with one of us, just send us an email and we can, or if you're in SwapCard, send us a chat through SwapCard and we can find a time to connect. You
Lynn,
also,
yeah, sorry to your other question. Sorry to jump in, Andrew.
No, all good.
I'd be glad to talk with you about how the program that you're proposing, which if you are not seeing Lynn's chat, it is that Lynn has a similar relationship in St. Croix with a presenter in St. Croix, an artist based in New York, New Jersey. Might we bundle and work with the Puerto Rico, New Jersey artists to create a Caribbean tour? I mean, it sounds amazing, but let's talk about what the specifics of what you're imagining and see how the programs that we are, offering here can support what you'd like to do. So send me an email and I'd be happy to think that through with you. Next, Kent asks, are there roster lists available for each performance discipline, like theater versus music? Can you speak any further about how to be considered or listed? No, we don't have roster lists by discipline. Our rosters are generated by programs. So we have the Mid-Atlantic Tours program and the PAGE program, which both have rosters available, as well as the eBay Exchange program. And those each of those programs have a slightly different curation process. The only one that has sort of an open artist interest selection phase is the Mid-Atlantic Tours program at this time. And that is the interest form that I discussed that will be available this summer. So if you'd like to be considered, that is one way you can do. That's one way you can be considered. Happy to explain in further detail if you'd like to set up time to chat. And Chase asks, is there a list of potential presenters in the Mid-Atlantic arts states which could be approached to partner with on an Arts Connect grant? The answer is no, we don't keep a list or database of presenters because the way that we define presenter for this program is really, really broad. You can be a presenter if you have 501c3 status, and there are just a few requirements, but you don't even really need to have had extensive performing arts presentation experience necessarily. And so a list of eligible presenters would be huge. So what I encourage you to do instead is to check out our current grantees, see who is currently receiving funding through Arts Connect, and see if any of those folks are interesting to you. Also, make sure to check out the projects in development listing, where you'll see presenters who are currently looking to build up a tour. And if you are still stumped and looking for some brainstorming support, you can also reach out to me and we can do that. So that was the end of our typed Q&A, but I see we have two folks who have raised hands. So I'm going to see if we can do this. Simon, I'm going to allow you to talk here via Zoom. Can you ask your question now?
Okay, unmute me. Okay. Sorry, 1 second here. Come on. I'm unmuted, right?
Nope, we've got you now. Yep.
Okay, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize I had my hand raised. I was just focusing again, I think it may have been answered, a one-person performance, though I'm Fractured Atlas covered and I have a separate nonprofit willing to be a fiscal sponsor, and so even though they aren't in the region, they'd be willing to support my touring.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just not clear yet how somebody like me engages with you. I've been there at APAP, this is my 7th year, and I think we've had variations of this conversation with some of you, and it's still not clear to me. So I'm going to book an appointment while we're there, but I just wanted to raise it in case there are other solo artists like me out there. And this particular show that I've got has gotten, in fact, if you go to the booking, if you were on the page to book your attendance, you would have seen my picture this year. I guess APAP featured it. But anyway, that's my question.
Yeah, Sam, let's you and I meet and we can discuss. USAI is the most direct, possibility for support for artists in providing that support for international performances. And then the kind of secondary would be if you are in region, expressing interest to be considered for the Mid-Atlantic Tours roster.
Yes. Okay. Good.
Yeah, so let's meet at APAP and talk further. Okay,
great. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And then Ken Haley, if you still have a question, we can allow you to talk as well. So Ken, if you have a question that we haven't answered yet, you are able to unmute and ask it now. Otherwise, we'll give you another 10 seconds here. Otherwise, I think we'll close out and wrap up the call. All right. Well, I think that covers all of the questions. Thank you all so much for attending, for asking such wonderful questions. If you are going to APAP, we'd love to see you at our booth, booth number 209 in Rhinelander. We also had dropped a link in the chat where you can schedule a meeting with us over Calendly, but it's totally fine to just drop by as well. Yeah, thank you. Have a great week, and we'll be emailing you next week with the recording, the slide deck, etc.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye. I'll just end the call. See y'all.